Hello, guys, and welcome back to Alliance Tournament 15. My name is Brett Thomas, and I'm here with Moderator, and we're going to be commentating Shadow Cartel vs Project Mayhem. Project Mayhem have all come in at range. They're bringing a Scimitar, Navy Drake, dual Orthrus, dual Cerberus, dual Navy Osprey, and dual Flycatcher. So it looks like a lot of rapid light missiles, man.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of rapid light missile ships, and I'm interested to see if any teams have a sort of a read on someone else. We're typically not seeing this kind of a composition this late into the tournament, and I'm also really kind of curious as to why Project Mayhem has brought the Flycatcher. The Flycatcher being kinetic locked, but also being the same point cost as a Caracal, would tend to, in most teams, favor the Caracal. They may be wanting to use some of its mid slots in order to use guidance or tracking disruption, and I'm hoping to see some sort of guidance disruptors or some way to mitigate the long-range damage application, because I do feel that Shadow Cartel has, on the whole, brought a somewhat stronger version of this rapid light composition.
Yeah, and an important thing to notice is the Project Mayhem only has one ship that can fly links, which is that Navy Drake, whereas Shadow Cartel has a linked bonus ship with the Stork, so it'll nice to see what the link trade-off is between these two different types of ships.
Yes, I believe this is the first use of the Navy Drake, to the best of my knowledge, in the Alliance Tournament 15, and in all likelihood it'll probably be one of the last version uses. It might have been used once before, or twice, but it's been very much so an underpicked ship compared to the armor battlecruiser cores we've been seeing throughout the tournament.
An important thing to notice is the Navy Drake is the only faction battlecruiser that, if you fit the entirety of its launcher slots with aggressive weapons, you cannot fit any links. So if that's fit entirely missiles, no links for that Navy Drake.
Yeah, I would definitely think that Project Mayhem would know that they need to have links on top of their composition. Already, we're seeing the Scimitar being the primary from Project Mayhem, wanting to drop Erica Durance in her Scimitar, as Project Mayhem is also taking damage onto their Scimitar of Messiah.
Yeah, we see Project Mayhem have brought target painters where Shadow Cartel have not. I'd like to see the difference between them due to the fact that light missiles apply really well. We see both teams just trading barrages of missiles at each other, as the Flycatcher of Ivy Kitsunova is starting to drop into low shields, as well as the Scimitar of Bayasa.
Yeah, this is Basaya now dropping off the field. Really good pick for Shadow Cartel. The Cerberus will be kinetic bonused, and the Scimitar does have very weak kinetic resist. And Ivy Kitsunova dropping as quickly as he did is showing exactly, along with Beliefs on dropping, is showing why you don't bring the Flycatchers over the Caracal, and not when they both comp point value. And right now, Project Mayhem needs to kill the Scimitar rather quickly if they want to get back into the match.
Yeah, she is finally dropping into structure. She's into the last amount of her boosts, and it looks like Shadow Cartel have gone into reload. As you can see, all damage is just dropped off by them. They're hitting that 30 seconds where they need to reload before they can do damage again, as Erica finally goes down.
Yeah, Erica, she was doing a good job at pulling range and keeping away, but there's only so much you can do, especially against the bonus flight time missiles that all these Orthruses and Cerberuses are bringing. One of the reasons Shadow Cartel may be trading out somewhat better is due to the fact that throughout most of the match, we've had EC drones on top of these Cerberuses and Orthruses, which are giving Project Mayhem less burst damage, but they still have enough burst damage to drop Dialga in the Stork, so that will be the remainder of the links off of the field.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Orthrus is finally dropping now. It's dropping into armor. It's finally beginning to go now as everybody starts coming off reload, and flights of missiles start hitting each other. Shadow Cartel's Orthrus dropping at the same time as Project Mayhem's Orthrus dropping. It looks like they're just trading ships back and forth as fast as possible.
Yeah, Ramalaya in his Orthrus is now dropping into low armor and just getting off ASB charges, but not fast enough. At the same time, Pasta Casper is dropping into low hull and pops. These teams are not even able to cycle their ASBs fast enough before they drop. And Project Mayhem has 5 damage ships, really to the 5 damage ships of Shadow Cartel. Oshaman in the Cerberus now dropping even before he can get his charges off.
As you can see from the attack bar, Project Mayhem have hit reload before Shadow Cartel, which is why you see another ship dropped by Project Mayhem, and the Cerberus is dropping into low shields.
Yeah, Sergi AB dropping into armor and cycling his ASB as fast as he can, while Duke Hur is the primary on Shadow Cartel. So I would take the Cerberus in favor of trading out of Caracal, every single time. The Cerberus being the Tech 2 upgraded version of the Caracal. Both teams now surviving a little bit longer as more damage is coming off the field as ships are dying, giving time for the ASB to cycle. I'm interested to see if any of these teams can actually get on top of a micro jump drive beacon and pull range that way to get out of missile range. But Big Thump is dropping rather quickly, and Sergi AB is actually getting off all his charges in his ASB. He's running low and maybe out at this point, but Big Thump down into hull. Sergi finally does run out of charges, though.
Yeah, I think these EC drones are really doing a lot of work, locking out stuff like a Navy Osprey. In a comp like this, where you're all going shield and you're all pretty light, you want to have the max amount of mids for tank, which is why you're not seeing any of them with sensor boosters and why you're seeing them dropping so quickly.
Yeah, the Osprey Navy issue of Captain Inkura down into low shields, Big Thump getting off his ASB charges. I haven't been keeping track of the count, but he has to be rather low at this point. But Sergio will be in short order the only remaining ship that's doing much in the way of damage, as we are now seeing that Tau AD doesn't appear to have any sort of missiles actually fit to his Drake, which is a rather odd call, as Brett Thomas was mentioning. If you fit links to the Drake Navy issue, you don't have room in the high slots, as every single high slot is also a hard point for a missile launcher. So that's a rather confusing, almost waste of 13 points that Project Mayhem has gone for.
Yeah, you could much better bring more damage using a Cyclone and using Rapid Lights with that, because that has the spare high slots and the damage bonus to be able to bring to a comp like this. The Navy Drake looks like it was only there just because it's the tankiest link ship possible, as we see the Navy Osprey finally go down and Project Mayhem have no damage left.
Yeah, I'm really drawing kind of a question mark as to this composition of Project Mayhem. It just seems like it's rather weak for the 100 points that you have. It seems like there are better choices for those ship and point slots to be made. Unfortunately for them, they will drop in this grudge match of low-sec giants, and Shadow Cartel will advance to the next round.
Yeah, as we see the Navy Osprey of Big Thump just about surviving. He did really well there, managing to get all of his ASB charges and not die to that entire reload. This Navy Drake is now just slowly starting to die. You can see why they brought it, because this Navy Drake is still here and is still tanking because of the resist bonus that the Drake hull brings. It's going to be super, super tanky.
As you were mentioning, though, I mean, Project Mayhem has other options. They could go with the Cyclone, which would be less points, and they can also use the excellent local tank ability it has. Could use a Gnosis as well, that also has a resist bonus. You have a lot of options that are just not a Drake Navy issue. Unfortunately, neither the Drake or the Drake Navy being really a viable ship in the meta anymore for quite some time. I'm sure we'll hear later from the desk as they can see the fits of all the ship as to why they might have brought them, but for my end as a commentator, I just can't see why they would be doing that.
As we see the Navy Drake finally drop into armor, the huge amount of resist bonus and a huge amount of mids that it can probably fit, having no missile systems, meant it could just tank for that as long as possible as it finally drops into structure. Well done, Shadow Cartel, bringing a really good rapid light comp and executing it perfectly.
Yeah, well played by Shadow Cartel. They will continue in the lower bracket to face tests at Alliance Please Ignore next week in the next upcoming weekend, and with that, we'll send it back to the studio.
This program is rated MA. It contains adult themes, coarse language, sexual references, and violence.
Can I ask you kind of a weird question?
Do you want to play some spaceships with me?
Another fantastic match there, the low set grudge match. Having a little think about the Navy Drake there, Reload and Jintan. Reload, tell us a little about the ship that exists that is called the Navy Drake.
You see, the Navy Drake is the best Navy battlecruiser in the game, hands down. Okay, maybe not, but
it's the best one apart from the British Navy,
the
Harb Navy,
and the Fleet King.
And the Fleet King, actually. Yeah.
So if you got rid of those three ships, it would be the best Navy battlecruiser in the game. So the Navy Drake gets 8 slots, right? But they don't get a damage bonus.
Yeah.
Instead, they get I think they get an application bonus, and I think that's pretty much it. It does get some extra tank, get some extra mid slots.
8 whole launchers. I mean, that's got to be a lot of damage, right?
Oh, absolutely. But if you fit no launchers, then you won't be doing as much damage as you would.
Yeah. So that was probably a Link Navy Drake there. Yes. Do you think that maybe it would have been smarter to perhaps run a regular Drake if you're just interested in it for the tank? Use those 2 points to upgrade the Dictors to full Jackdaws, something along those lines. Jintan, what did you think of the comp?
I thought the comp was very peculiar. I almost feel like Project Mayhem was trying to style on Shadow Cartel by bringing a Navy Drake and making themselves the first team to win with it.
It's a risky play. It's a bold move, you might say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we can see exactly how that one played out. But you know, there were some interesting choices, like going for the Flycatcher rather than the Caracal. That's not necessarily an entirely bad decision. They do serve completely different roles. But it's one I have to question, especially given how good those cheap T1 cruisers are.
Yep. Now, we do have the vote winner for that match, Shadow Cartel versus Project Mayhem. That is Janstina Earthadar. Congratulations, Janstina. You are the proud owner of an extra billion ISK. And speaking of the vote winner, we have the man who's been running it for the past 2 weekends.
Running is a strong word.
Yeah, well, okay. So this is Kyle. He's been with EVNT from the very beginning. You've been helping run the live events, the online events. You help us with the recording in the studio. Tell us, I guess more specifically, what you've been doing for EVNT this weekend and also generally speaking in the past.
Yeah, so for this weekend, I've mostly been running kind of floor management duties. I've been running the voting tool, been running messages back and forth, been fetching sandwiches. There was a little bit of that. Once or twice had to find hosts that were lost in toilets. It's been an experience. It's very different from everything we'd done previously, which has been more kind of organised volunteers, bring in kind of students and locals to kind of help out, get them a bit of experience and get them helping
so you
contribute.
do in fact work, is it you work with the media group or, because I know you do some tutoring or something?
Yeah, I am a lecturer in the Confetti Institute of Creative Technologies, which is kind of the other half of the building we're in. We're in the antenna side and in the Knots TV studio. The college actually builds up over the top of it and to the sides of it, and that's where I teach, and I teach games design.
Games design, and then, so more generally speaking, through your past EVNT stuff, what have you done, you know, Nash was telling me how you've been working since the beginning. What are kind of some of the early projects and what you've been doing before we get up to the big TV productions?
Yeah, so we used to run kind of live events here. It all started with kind of me, Bay and Nash all working together, and Nash saying, I think it would be a great idea if we ran an EVE tournament on site here. And then we looked at kind of what the logistics of that would be, opening up the bar, getting the equipment in, kind of needed a lot of volunteer staff for kind of simple responsibilities like opening doors and setting up equipment, etc., etc. So that's kind of worked out really well for us.
I think it would probably surprise a lot of people how many people and how much effort needs to go into a production of this magnitude. Like, you know, they see, you know, whoever's on the desk, the occasional guest like yourself, and then, you know, maybe the commentators over the America. But there are so many people behind the scenes that make this happen. All the people upstairs running the gallery, my boys Jake and Ryan in the studio who also work here, and they're kind of our links to antenna here as well. You've got all the people at CCP kind of running the matches, running the tournament, you know, giving us the budget to actually do all this in the first place. It is a monstrous job and absolutely exhausting. I'm about ready to fall out of my chair. I feel like you guys are probably somewhere in the same region, but still we must as ever press on. The next match coming up in 6 minutes is going to be match 13 of the day, one I'm really looking forward to here. We have Ghost Legion going up against the Bastard Cartel. Ghost Legion and the Bastard Cartel both having their flagship Balgorn available. Ghost Legion actually having used it twice already and not having it die, so good job then. Ghost Legion have won against Freebie Freeport Republic. They have lost to Pen is Out. They have beaten Samurai Sold Out. The Bastard Cartel have lost in the first round to Mercenary Coalition, beaten the Culture, and then beaten the United Federation of Conifers. Then that match, however, with the Bastard Cartel versus the United Federation of Conifers is simultaneously one of the worst and one of the best matches in tournament history, because there was such, as my Alliance CEO would call it, clowny piloting, but it made for such a close and exciting match. Like, I was actually casting that match in the corridor, and then we had the viewing party going on yesterday, and you could just hear the screams from the other room as it was so back and forward and people getting caught and tackled and brought down. It was absolutely insane. So what do you guys think of this matchup, Jin?
Yeah, I personally think Ghost Legion is the clear favourite here, but as we've seen previously, being the clear favourite does not in any way guarantee you victory.
No, this is the tournament where all predictions make absolutely zero valid sense. Each team 50-50 chance, who knows?
Just flip a coin.
It's just, we could just save all the production money, just flip a coin for each name really at this point. But still, to be fair, that kind of belies some of the skill and rehearsal going in. That's kind of rude to say. I apologise. Reload, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm going to go with Ghost Legion on this one. They did beat PFR, and PFR is actually quite a strong team. So I'm going
to top 16 finisher.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to go with Ghost Legion on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Ghost Legion are, of course, the EVE-NT participants, nasty boys, so they've got a lot of tournament practice in there. They're made up of a split of kind of like old BDCI guys who are in NC and before that in PL, and then even within that core you've got a few guys who came from EVE University that I used to know that came through there. Like, lovely group of guys, work really well together, very tight-knit group that have kind of moved their analytical style onto EVE tournament scene, and as we've seen them have much success in the EVE-NT tournaments, and now translating that sense into their new alliance, Ghost Legion, in the Alliance tournament. We have, I believe, some more stats or graphs coming back. Is that right upstairs? Ah, yes, that was it. We have the Balgorn Lost Mail, so we got another chance to look at a almost full Newt Balgorn with a whole ton of perps. So that is a whole bunch of Dracliras and Newts and Nosses with one X-type heavy energy, maybe not able to find the 6th. Then a Reisire's modified large EMP smart bomb to help with that drone destruction, a Hakim's and Tobias's modified stasis webifier, and then in the low end an X-type armor repair. That is a hella expensive bal. Reload, like how much? I mean, it says 38 bill here, but I'm assuming that's undervalued, because just getting the webs could cost you 38 bill for that thing, right?
I was going to say, like, it's probably worth maybe 60, 55, 70 even, potentially. It's definitely got more than double the value.
Yeah, now, Jin, we see here a committal to full newts with one smart bomb. Do you prefer mixed gun newt bells with the utility smart bomb if you want it, or are you a fan of just the full newt, use that bonuses newt as much as you possibly can out bell?
I really think it depends on what comp you're trying to bring. This seems like the kind of Balgorn you'd want to bring in a comp which kind of needs the control. Either something that has no control anywhere else, or something where you're just trying to hold on to a logistics and get your battle cruisers on there and just kill it as fast as humanly possible. Using those guns is where you want to drag out the fight a bit more, and where that Balgorn being able to put out DPS is more important to you.
Yeah, and I think with those extra newts, not only can you newt out the logistics, but if you're going against standard Navy battlecruiser core of Navy Brutix, Navy Harb, you can potentially be looking at turning off guns, turning off hardeners, because they don't use a lot of cap, but when you're low on cap, when you're outside of that peak regen, even with a cap booster going from time to time, those newts can make a difference, especially with the bonus strength Balgorn newts can be so very painfully. Kyle, have you had any matches during the day you've especially enjoyed watching, any pilots you've been following, any teams that you're a particular fan of?
Well, the last time I said that I was really looking forward to watching a team win was Volta, so I'm going to stay quiet.
Okay. Well, we are very, very close to the match beginning, only a few moments away. Like I said before, it is going to be Ghost Legion versus the Bastard Cartel. So let's send it over to the casters for this losers bracket match.